The story of Kamtza and Bar Kamtza, how baseless hatred destroyed the temple, one of the most formative and chilling stories in the Talmud, which explains the spiritual background for the destruction of the Second Temple, is the tale of Kamtza and Bar Kamtza. The story, found in Tractate Gittin, illustrates how baseless hatred, insult, and spite can lead to a national catastrophe. The beginning, a mistaken invitation. This man had a good friend named Kamtza and a sworn enemy named Bar Kamtza. The story begins with a wealthy man in Jerusalem who was hosting a large feast. The servant, however, got confused and instead invited Bar Kamtza, the host's enemy. He sent his servant, telling him, "Go and invite my friend Kamtza to the feast." The humiliation at the feast. Bar Kamtza, thinking that perhaps the host wished to reconcile with him, went to the feast. "Since I have already come, let me stay, and I will pay for my own meal." When the host saw him, he became enraged and furiously approached him. "You are my enemy. What are you doing here? Get up and leave immediately." Bar Kamtza, deeply embarrassed by this public humiliation in front of all the guests, tried to appease the host. "No." The host replied, "I will pay for half of the entire feast. Just do not shame me like this," pleaded Bar Kamtza. Their silence proves they agreed with this act. A terrible decision formed in his heart to take revenge, not just on the host, but on the entire nation. "No," the man insisted, "I will pay for the whole feast," cried Bar Kamtza in a final attempt to prevent the disgrace. But the host grabbed him by the hand, dragged him out, and threw him out of the house for all to see. The revenge and the slander. On his way back to Jerusalem, Bar Kamtza secretly inflicted a small, hidden blemish on the animal's lip, a blemish that, according to Jewish law, disqualifies an animal from being a sacrifice, but is not considered a blemish by the Romans. Bar Kamtza left the feast, humiliated and enraged. He said to himself, "The sages of Israel were sitting there. They saw my shame and did not protest." He went straight to the Roman Caesar and told him, "The Jews have rebelled against you." "And how can you prove this?" asked the Caesar. "Send a sacrifice with me to their temple," suggested Bar Kamtza, "and see if they will offer it." But Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkulas vehemently objected. He argued, "If we do this, people will say that it is permissible to offer blemished animals on the altar. If they refuse, know that they are rebelling against you." Bar Kamtza returned to the Caesar and told him that the Jews had refused to accept his offering. The Caesar, seeing this as proof of rebellion, sent his armies under the command of Vespasian to destroy Jerusalem. Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkulas objected to this as well, saying, "People will say that one who inflicts a blemish on a sacrifice is liable for the death penalty." Of Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkulas destroyed our house, burned our temple, and exiled us from our land. The blemish in the sacrifice blind adherence to the law while ignoring its consequences, and the immense damage that can be caused when one person shamas another in public. The Caesar was convinced and sent a fine calf with Bar Kamtza as an offering. When he arrived with the sacrifice at the temple, the sages faced a terrible dilemma. If they offered the sacrifice, they would be violating the laws of the Torah. If they refused to offer it, it would be interpreted as a declaration of rebellion against the Caesar, just as Bar Kamtza had planned. The sages were inclined to offer the sacrifice for the sake of peace with the kingdom. Then the sages considered killing Bar Kamtza so he could not go back and inform on them to the Caesar. The tragic outcome, due to Rabbi Zechariah's opposition, the sacrifice was not offered. The sages of the Talmud conclude the story with a harsh statement: the humility. The story resonates to this day as a timeless warning against the dangers of baseless hatred.